Welcome to the show, folks. It is Friday, and if you made it this far, congrats. The end of the week. I'm your host, Max Burns.
And I'm Sam Osterhout.
And for the next half hour, we are breaking down the biggest stories of the week and infecting your brain with some of these Trump scandals that we just cannot get away from. And boy, this week has been a doozy. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheMaxBurns, follow us on YouTube at Lincoln Square Media, or on Substack at Lincoln Square. And as always, leave questions and comments. Sam, tell them what they can do.
So look, any of you who've watched anything I do on this network know that I read the chats. I never pay attention to the person I'm with. Sorry, Max, no offense.
I get it.
Only read the chats. So put the best chats in, I will run them. I will run them all day long and all night strong. I will run questions. I will run chats. I will run your comments. What do you think was stupid this week? What do you think was wonderful this week? Let's have it all. I will run it.
Let us know. We are here for it. And there has been no shortage of craziness. Last week, we covered Pope Leo XIV declaring a holy war on the machines. Well, this week, the machines struck back with the power of disco. Take a look at this. Oh, he's down.
Yep.
Amazing. The moonwalk is especially smooth here.
It's wonderful.
This is the future. Forget Black Mirror. It's a robot in a disco wig kicking a kid right in the rib cage. That's what we have to wait for us.
So when I first saw this, I dipped back into Twitter this week because I heard Hunter Biden was making a big comeback.
Yep.
And his tweets were worth it. I'm going to get off as soon as I can. But this was Hunter Biden and clown robot kicking child in the ribs. It was just wall-to-wall coverage of both of those things. When I first saw it,
I'd love to see.
Oh yeah. Hunter Biden versus robot clown.
Yeah,
it would be an amazing fight. It depends on if they can use performance-enhancing drugs or what.
Well, we have the UFC dome. We can make this happen.
Yeah, it can happen at the White House.
Surprisingly enough, this was not one of the top 5 stories of the week. But here's one that was Donald Trump having a tough time on Capitol Hill, where his slush fund got flushed. It turns out there are some things that are even unpopular enough that Republicans will not give Donald Trump his way. Over 70% of voters, including Republicans, opposed Donald Trump's welfare for domestic terrorists plan. And we are now finding the edges of Donald Trump's popularity here as he fails to get one of his signature grifts across the line. This would have given $1.776 billion to January 6th domestic terrorists in exchange for their pain and suffering at being held accountable for their crimes. Here was Donald Trump earlier this week.
Of course. The anti-weaponization fund, have you dropped that?
No, a court ruled against it.
Yeah.
But just so you understand, these are people that have been decimated. These are people that lost their lives over nonsense, where the FBI said, go in, police, go into the... And they were supposed to serve 5 years, 10 years in jail. People committed suicide. People were treated, there's never been anything like this. What happened to those people? And these were many great people. And I gave them pardons. I'm very proud to have given them pardons. And I think they should be reimbursed for a crooked government. The government...
These are the people, remember, Tom Tillis said attacked police. But don't worry, folks. There may not be a slush fund, but Donald Trump is keeping the immunity from IRS investigations that he got from Todd Blanche. So don't worry. Donald Trump will be all right. Sam, what do you make of this?
So here's I have a question for you. Look, many on both sides of the aisle have called this the biggest corruption scandal in American history.
Yeah.
Right. There's no way to overstate how just fucking terrible this was. It was mind-boggling. And that he is able to sort of walk away from it relatively unscathed. I mean, it's just more of the corruption, but I don't think the typical voter sees this as being magnitudes worse than anything else that he does. I wonder,
Yeah.
how do we hold to account a president who's able to just walk away from shit like this, to send out, test signals, try something out, and when the heat comes on, just sort of walk away. And look, I'm afraid he's going to do this with Iran as well.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
what
that's
do
the
we
big
do?
question, right? There, because you have Republicans on the one side who realize this is politically poison, right? This has dragged their numbers down somehow even lower than they were. But they also are in a position where they cannot admit that what Donald Trump is doing is open air corruption, because that would make them complicit in it. The question then would become, why didn't you walk away months or years ago from this person you knew was corrupt? So they're in this sort of weird dance where they cannot let him do some of these insane things or they'll get wiped out. But they can't admit that the reason they can't let him do it is because they're so corrupt. So you have someone like Bill Cassidy
Right.
saying in the Senate that he will vote against it, that he'll sink the entire ICE spending bill if it's in there, but he won't tell you why. And it just makes Republicans look like they have completely lost touch with reality.
So, this has huge implications for electoral politics and the midterms and all
Yeah.
of that kind of thing. But as more, this is a muzzle velocity administration, right? It is a flood of corruption and bad policy and destruction of our whole entire system. So how do Democrats frame this in a way that resounds and that that voters or just the general population can grasp on, and then turn it into accountability?
Yeah, the good thing is most voters, when you talk to them about this, about January 6th, about the people who were pardoned, they don't like it at all. They see it for what it is. The problem is Democrats haven't been talking about it, right? Like there has been very little conversation on the Democratic side because we assume that those numbers are solid. They are not. What we've seen is that for every month, Republicans continue to recast history on January 6th. The number of voters who say they know for sure what happened goes down. And that's what happens when you don't push back. So we need to get into communities and talk about how you may not be able to afford your medicine. You can't afford your kids' school supplies. You can barely afford gas. But Donald Trump just tried to give almost $2 billion to a bunch of convicted criminals. And then when asked to maybe give some of that money, please, to police who were hurt, he said, no, screw them. They're the enemy. These are arguments that resonate with voters, but we cannot take for granted that they know that these arguments are out there.
So, and look, we all sat through the every second of the January 6 hearings. It was so compelling. And it always, at the end of a session, obviously I was producing, for Resolute Square back in the days and Lincoln Project and this. So I was definitely online trying to follow every word, but
Yeah.
after each hearing gavelled, I was like, this is it. This dude is cooked forever. And he chipped away, chip.
Yep.
Pushed us over the edge, right? To where all of us look like hysterical men screaming on the top of rooftops. And he's slowly eroded the belief that something ever went wrong. And there's a huge cabal of MAGA politicians and voters who believe that nothing untoward happened on January 6th. These are the same people who saw it with their own lion eyes, right? So is that what's in our future? And how do we stop that? I know we need to get on to the next round. And I do have some comments. What the fuck is wrong with this man? How can any American go along with this? Says Peg. Thank you, Peg, for the comment. I always appreciate Peg's comments. How do we? I can't tell you. I'm so concerned that that's what's going to happen in 3 years. They'll be like, oh, people like me will be saying, you remember he was so corrupt, and everyone else is like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Which actually is
like everyone does it. Both sides.
It's a pretty good transition to the next story, because what we're seeing, the main thing that's holding Trump down now is his sagging popularity, right? We're sort of seeing Republicans discover the limits of what they can tolerate with their voters if they want to keep their jobs. And we saw that again this week with our fourth story, the War Powers vote, 215 to 208 vote on Wednesday in the House, 4 Republicans voting with Democrats. This War Powers resolution directs Trump to remove armed forces from Iran and end hostilities unless Congress specifically authorizes them. And the crazy thing is, the Senate may actually advance this. They passed their own version of this after 8 attempts, with 4 Republicans crossing over: Bill Cassidy, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, and Susan Collins, who was, of course, very, very concerned. But this is something you wouldn't have seen even a year ago, right? Republicans openly saying that there are limits to Donald Trump's power, and also acknowledging really openly that Donald Trump has misused his power in a way that's hurting them. So it's acknowledging both that he is an idiot and that he's maybe not the political mastermind that Republicans have outed him to be.
Yeah.
And these missteps really hurt him with voters. The numbers are going down about 1.5% a week. If that continues, he will be lower than Nixon by the midterms. That's a big deal, Sam.
It's a huge deal. Some of the, we had Rick and Andrew Wilson on this morning for their show Behind the Numbers, where they looked at the latest polling, and Marquette came out with just banger numbers earlier this week or late last week. It is, Rick made the comment, I think he made it on air, but he also made it in the green room. He was like, look, we're going to get to numbers on the economy and on Trump's performance that are Nixon level. And to go before that, it's 1936. Like, we're looking at faith in the economy and the belief that you're better off now than you were a year ago. It's done. It's gone. So I'm wondering, this is, man, I love talking to you.
And we're already there with independence, to be clear. There are some areas like inflation where Donald Trump is in the teens with independence. That is unprecedented. Even George W. Bush, at the peak of the financial crisis, was not scraping numbers this low. And that election, 2008, was a disaster for Republicans.
There have been some edge case polling that puts him in the single digits with independent voters, particularly independent women. So here's my question then, to sort of go back to the earlier conversation. Is this a fissure in the white whale of all political commentary, the fissure in MAGA, or the fissure in the Republicans that will eventually break the party open? Or is this just another sort of hedging? And I, to talk about Iran a little bit, my great fear is this vote allows him cover to walk away. No apologies. We did the right thing, but the Republicans in Congress didn't. If we had stayed the course, man, it would have been amazing. Like, Iran was at its knees and they chickened out, and I'm the winner here. Like, is this what this does? Does give him cover for his own failures?
Well, yeah, I mean, to be clear, Republicans don't care about the country, right? They don't care about the economy. They don't care about what farmers and working class people are going through. They're mainly concerned about their own political survival. That is the one thing that matters to them in the moment. And what they see is Donald Trump blowing holes in the side of their ship. I mean, they're not going to have this. And the more he does this, the more they're able to start envisioning a post-Donald Trump future for their party. And they're realizing that the people who get there first are going to be the ones who do the best. And let's be real, this isn't going to change. Donald Trump doesn't do anything, right? What policies has he advanced in the last year? What has he actually done that a president does? He's built a giant UFC cage on the White House lawn. He's tried to throw a concert that didn't work. He's destroyed the economy. He's entangled us in a war. It's not as if he's suddenly going to learn halfway into his presidency how to do this right.
He is a walking robot in a clown wig, and we are a small child.
And he's just kicking.
He's just kicking. That is where we are right now. All right, what's number 3 on our story of the week?
Well, if you didn't like the cabinet that Donald Trump had, tough luck because it's going to last forever. Bill Pulte is now the new acting director of national intelligence. This was a guy who has no experience in foreign policy or national security. He built homes for a living. Was a businessman who, prior to this, was mainly lauded for maybe not the most relevant bit of work. I think we have a clip of him receiving a prestigious award.
The first ever, man, live fucking dildo slap on the PP Live. Pulte, look at this fucking
I'm gonna fast forward it to the
you fucking have it. The first dildo slap in history live.
and here he comes.
So, Bill, this says Bill Pulte fucks. All right?
Yeah.
And then if you notice it's got a tramp stamp with a butterfly on the back.
Only the young.
One ass cheek set. Yes, it does say only the young on the back here.
Great
Only the young,
optics
December
in a
14th.
Pretty badass.
administration full of pedophiles.
We have a mushroom stamp on the head of it and Bed Bath on one cheek and GME. Oh, fuck.
So that guy's in charge of the spies now. And this is a concerning thing, especially because this position, the Director of National Intelligence, actually by law requires you know what you're doing. If you look at Title 50 of the U.S. Code, Section 3023, it says, quote, you have to have extensive national security experience to hold this job. But that's only if you're confirmed by the Senate. Pulte is an acting director,
Right.
just like the Attorney General, the head of the NSA, the Secretary of Labor, even the National Archivist. They're all acting officials. And Donald Trump just announced he's going to name Todd Blanche as a permanent Attorney General, but that doesn't actually require him to put Blanche up for a vote. He can continue to serve without that vote until Republicans move him, which is creating a cabinet of essentially people outside the scope of senatorial oversight. Not great.
No, look, this goes back to accountability. Always accountability, right?
Yep.
He's creating very slippery cabinet members, and he himself is quite slippery because when they fuck up, who's to blame? He can easily throw them under the bus, right?
Yep.
If they make him look bad. But we have no recourse. We have essentially no recourse. Like, what do you do to somebody who's not officially in the position? I mean, imagine at your own job, somebody says, I'm going to nominate an acting boss for you. How do you fire them? How do you file a claim? All of these issues. But I think there's even something more deeply disturbing about all of this, which I think we can all intuit. But these positions are not like this dude, his little dildo thing and the untoward stuff leaves him open for compromise, right? In these positions, he is handling and in charge of deeply sensitive material. And it's worth noting that what's his name was just agreed to plead guilty for mishandling files. But who is it?
Oh Lord, I'm blanking on his irrelevant name, and I read his terrible book too.
John Bolton.
John Bolton.
John Bolton. Thank you. So
that's got to feel good for John Bolton's ego right about now.
Yeah, seeing this motherfucker like handling all of our classified documents, and he is this guy. And look, in 16, the whole Russia scandal was built around the pretty objective fact that Donald Trump is a person who's deeply compromised because his behavior historically, since the time he was a child, likely has been bad. And when you look, here's the story. My mother tells a lot of stories, but she says when she was it was 1967, she was first married. She was at a restaurant with her husband, and who was her first husband, and their accountant walked in with a woman who wasn't his wife. And she said to her husband, look, there's our accountant. And he said, not anymore. And the idea, I thought at first it was like a moralizing kind of story about cheating and all this, but he was like, no. This dude handles my money, and he's likely to be blackmailed. He's doing stuff that puts all of this shit at risk. Now, that's just my mom's 1967 bank account, right? imagine this is all of the American secrets that all of the spies have all gathered over the last 200 years.
Yeah.
And this is the guy who's in charge of them. It should make the hair on your arm stand up.
Yeah. And aside from being completely unqualified for this job, such that he couldn't even be nominated to hold this full time, he's also under investigation by the Government Accountability Office. This is the guy Donald Trump tapped to launch those mortgage fraud investigations into Adam Schiff and Letitia James and several members of the Federal Reserve Board. Those were bogus investigations that were tossed. They were considered potential misuse of public authority. It's another yes man who's going to do what Donald Trump wants, is going to not give him the counsel that he needs to have. And he's in charge of the spies.
He is. Look, everyone out there, if you're just tuning in, it's the end of the week with Sam Osterhout and Max Burns. And I want to hear what you think was the dumbest story of the week in the chats, and we'll read them out. Sue Hosley joined, Lioness joined, Christopher Campbell and Jennifer Smith joined. Good to see you all on this Friday. I hope you get to touch grass this weekend. Max, what's next?
I have a contender for dumbest story. This is our fourth story for the week. Happy Pride, folks, because George Santos is back. It can't be Pride without George Santos.
Yeah.
The disgraced former New York congressman getting in trouble here with an alleged investigation by the DOJ into the idea that Santos bet on himself to attend the State of the Union when he was a member of Congress. He posted a video on his social media saying he would attend, then allegedly placed bets that he would not, and then didn't show up. Now, this may not be a big deal for Santos, but it is against Halsey's terms of service. It's also unethical and constitutes fraud, something Santos knows very well. This isn't even the first time something like this has come up, with public officials abusing prediction markets to enrich themselves. We just recently saw a soldier connected to the raid on Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela made $400,000 betting on that raid with advance knowledge. He was arrested. He's currently awaiting trial. And in case you were wondering why this is such a hot topic, well, there's actually one strategic advisor and donor at both Kalshi and Polymarket, the two biggest prediction markets you might know, Donald Trump Jr. He just became a senior advisor to Kalshi, and he's an investor in both through his venture capital fund, 1789 Capital. Former White House Deputy Chief Taylor Budowich is at Kalshi now. We have White House Policy Comms Director Jackie McGavick joining Kalshi this week. Seems like a lot of Trump administration officials suddenly know where the big bets are. What do you think, Sam?
Well, two things. When I heard about the guy who betted on, who had the inside goods on Maduro and made $400,000, and then I look at news about all of our jobs being obsolete because of AI, my immediate thought was, how do I cheat at Kalshi? Right? Totally unethical. But man, I want some of that Kalshi paper. You know what I mean? But all kidding aside, Trump has talked about regulating those markets just this week, as all of these stories. But do you have a lot of faith in his either ability to manage them, or B, what that would even look like?
Oh, I'm sure Donald Trump is serious about regulating businesses his family's invested in. That's very Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've seen is no, right? He's changed the head of the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, which investigates and prosecutes cases of fraud and abuse within prediction markets. They're dropping cases against prediction markets left and right. They're now coming out strong against states regulating this. They say, we're the only ones who can, and if we choose not to, you have to accept that. And at the same time, you have these people who are large donors to the Trump campaign coming into his parties, funding his ballroom. I can't imagine he's very interested in this. He thinks that this is one of America's new hot industries. He wants to protect this as much as he can. Crazy.
It's crazy. And I'm getting crypto vibes from this, where he was like, yeah, crypto, it's great. Like he has no idea what it means.
Yeah.
And then he learned, somebody whispers like, you could make so much money from this. And he's like, yes, then crypto, let's do it. I also think it's worth mentioning at least that in these prediction markets, many of the people involved and who've run the startups that became these markets have said that insider trading is actually to some degree encouraged, because the goal is not to create a gambling site, it's to predict. And so if you have insider information, then the predictions become more and more accurate. The problem is that's not what this looks like in practicality. It's not a real world application of these markets. The real world application is, 20 and 24-year-old dudes putting all their money on whether or not, George Santos will go to the speech.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this is. It's a gambling market.
Yeah, and it's everywhere, right? There's only about, I think, 1% of people consistently are winning on these markets.
Yep.
We've seen elected officials involved. We've seen staffers involved, soldiers, intelligence officials. The military has banned access to it. There's calls in Congress for laws to ban not just elected officials and public officials from betting on this, but from having prediction markets, even asking political questions like this, where lawmakers could change the outcome. I mean, we saw just a month ago, there was one individual, an anonymous individual, posted 80 bets on various long shot Iran questions. Every single one of them won. Statistically impossible, according to Kalshi. But that's somebody else's problem, at least according to them.
Well, this is the thing. Look, not that I've thought about it, but if you were going to cheat at Kalshi, right?
Yes, tell me. Speak into the flower.
It's so obvious. But this is the biggest problem. They don't care because nobody is holding them accountable.
Yeah.
And the whole episode, this whole 27 minutes that we've been on right now has been really about the lack of accountability. And in fact, I think this entire administration has been about the lack of accountability.
Yep.
We're never going to get anywhere until accountability is the base layer of our democracy. That's just how this works, whether it's Kalshi or whether it's Iran, whether it's the corruption at the top. All of that is that has to be issue number one, accountability.
Yeah.
Our groceries will never be affordable when somebody at the top and many people at the top are stealing public funds.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us actually to the fifth story. Another thing a lot of people were betting on the prediction markets minutes before it happened. The border bill finally passes. Republicans, after weeks of fighting with each other, threatening to torpedo it, Donald Trump threatening to primary every Republican who opposed it, they finally passed their $70 billion immigration funding bill 5247 this morning. The GOP defeated an amendment from Bill Cassidy that would have redirected Trump's January 6th money into fund for police. They said, apparently, screw the cops. There is no taxpayer funding for the ballroom in this, another big beat for Donald Trump. And they did, after 8 different attempts, fail to formally block the slush fund in law. So while Trump has withdrawn it, there's no real legal block yet preventing him from bringing it back. In other words, a lot of work for something that a functional Congress would have done in a week, Sam.
What does this say about this Congress?
I mean, it's amazing to me they passed it at all. I mean, a week ago, you had the majority leader of the Senate saying he didn't care if this passed. If it passed with these things Donald Trump wanted, he'd be just fine if it failed. These are the same Republicans who said it was so critical to fund ICE that Democrats were endangering the country by not giving them everything they wanted. Suddenly, when it's in their court, doesn't matter if it passes or not. Voters see that. They don't take these people seriously.
Will they ever?
I hope not. It's hard to. It's hard to when the most serious person on your team is Rand Paul.
Oh, God. Why did you have to say that? Is it
Who even his Senate colleagues understand why he got punched in the face. Amazing.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh, my God. Okay, well, so Max, those are our stories for the week. What are you doing this weekend?
I am trying to put it all behind me. I'm going to get a Kalshi account. I'm going to start betting. I'm going to ask George Santos what he thinks is going to happen. I think this is, if ever you were thinking about getting into Congress, get in while there's still a law here. And even if they ban it, you can still insider trade on regular stocks because that's
1000%.
still not a crime for Congress.
Oh yeah, it's great. Did you coincidentally, I don't know, maybe a month ago, there was a story where there's a whole area of betting on this one thing about what the temperature would be at certain airports, right? You could bet on certain numbers. And somebody apparently, I don't know if this was, there was some wiggly sort of gray area about whether or not this was true, but that
100% true. We have video of it.
Really? Well, but
Yeah.
I heard that the video was actually AI generated as well, but that they were betting on the temperature at a French airport, and somebody theoretically put a hairdryer over the thermometer to go, and they won. Anyway, again,
Yeah.
I heard that this happened. And it's
Sam, I just
something-
need enough money to build my army of kung fu kicking robots, and I'll be happy.
that's going to surround my bunker built 200 yards into the ground.
Yep.
Next to the Iranian plutonium. All right.
Well, on that cheery note, thank you guys all for watching. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at @TheMaxBurns. Follow us on YouTube at Lincoln Square Media, on Substack at Lincoln Square. And Sam, where else can people follow us?
Well, Substack, look, we have a couple of podcasts coming out. This week we had 6 Questions with Stephen Beschelas coming out. You can find that on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Great
Also
show.
on Substack, also on YouTube, all the places. You can follow me at Sam Osterhout on Blue Sky. Don't follow me on Twitter. It's not worth it.
And always send us your thoughts and comments on the show, what you would like to see as top stories for next week. And if we're still here, we'll join you again on Friday for It's the End of the Week. Thanks.
Oh, no!
Ah.